Thanks to those joining me live and to those that will be joining me and the rest of the panel here on Archive. This is a Leave It in the Ring Roundtable, the 7th edition. Of course, it's December 3rd. And make sure you do this. You make sure you jab the like button. You're listening on Archive right now. Okay? Make sure you go ahead and do that. Hey, check this out. We have a lot to talk about here. We're going to be talking Spence Garcia. We're going to be talking, will we see Undisputed at welterweight by the end of 2022? Ramirez Taters at a fight, speaking of Undisputed, that we'll get in 2021. Bill and Joe Saunders in this blockbuster fight against Martin Murray. We're going to talk about that one. And Mike Tyson, has he proven that he's the biggest star in boxing today with the numbers we just saw? Well, we will definitely talk about that. But let's go ahead and get started with Spence against Garcia. A lot of us have kind of broken this down during the week, okay? But let's just go ahead and touch on it again because it is the biggest fight of the weekend. I want to start with you, Dave. Talk to us. Spence, Garcia, how do you think this fight's going to go?
Oh, my God. Thanks for asking. Hey, first of all, guys, it's a pleasure to be back here with the Leave It in the Ring family. Spence Jr. versus Garcia. It's the first fight since that car accident that nearly killed him, right? And we know Salvador Sanchez lost his life, and Diego Corrales lost his life on a motorcycle. It's a miracle that he escaped with such little injury, but also a testament to his athleticism, right? Because sometimes they say that people who survive these horrific accidents, their sheer athleticism gets them through these type of things. Did it take anything off of him? That's what we're going to find out this Saturday. As far as his physical attributes, Spence has all the tools to beat him easily. Danny Garcia, over the years, I think he actually has more than 2 losses. I think he definitely got a gift decision once or twice in his career, especially when he had that fight in Puerto Rico. And he seems to take some rounds off occasionally, right? Lately, he's looked really, really good against some B-level competition guys that were brought up from 1-4. He's looked really good and special again. And it's going to be the biggest fight of his life. If he pulls off this upset, this is going to be a legacy fight for him, right? And a huge step backwards for Spence. But at the end of the day, I don't see how he's going to overcome Spence's natural talent unless he pulls off the perfect game plan, counter-punching. I see Spence winning this, and I'm probably going to wager some money on that.
First of all, let's do a quick check. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Is it off the mic? Is it this?
I mean, I can hear you, D.
Yeah, it sounds a little far away, but we can hear you.
What about now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you hear the mic?
Not really.
No? Okay, we'll get that sorted out. But Milcar, talk to us about any further. I know you talked to death about the fight, but any other thoughts you have about the fight?
I mean, as the fight approaches, I'm pretty much thinking what I've thought all along. The intangible here is whether or not the collision is going to affect Errol Spence. If I'm analyzing this fight and removing the collision from the equation, it's a clear Errol Spence victory for me in my eyes. He boxes well at range. He's super tough, and he showed, as I said, on the Hispanic Causing Panic show, that he does not mind winning a 12-round decision. He doesn't necessarily always think that it's necessary to close the show, as a lot of other fighters do. And he did that when he fought Garcia. He didn't really take it to the Garcia in a way that would have caused the knockout. He boxed cautiously behind the jab. He took risks when he kind of felt that it was appropriate to do so. And when he didn't, he, used his boxing skill. And what he really has to watch out for from Danny is that hook. And I'm sure they've been preparing for that in training camp. The question is, does that face, does that jaw, do those teeth hold up if Danny lands that hook? If Danny's able to touch him? Because Danny's a very good counter puncher. He's also got an underrated right hand too. And what he does is he catches you, in that moment while you're throwing. That's what he's really good at. So he does have a chance, with those counters. But right now, I have to go with. Oh no, I can't go with 100% this week. I'm not 100% confident. And I've found out that when I am, it's usually way off. So I'll stick with my pick right now. But if I am feeling a little froggy later, I might leap to 100, but I'm not there yet.
Man, well, there you go. I mean, I just, you could have done a good service for them. How can you guys hear me now? By the way,
That's better now.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I can hear your real mic.
Nice and clear.
I feel like the Verizon commercial. You know what I mean? Can you hear me now? Yes. All right. We got that fixed. All right. Cordoba says Amir Khan deserves a shot at the winner. He says, you know what I mean? We welcome sarcasm here, so it's all good. You know what I mean? Chief Funky, some quick. I know we talked about it to death. So some quick thoughts on the fight here.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this one, man. I think Danny's a good opponent for Spence. A real strong test for him coming off the accident. I know I said it in my prediction, and I said it on HCP. I don't want to use that car crash as an excuse if Danny wins. Like, you won't hear me do that. If Danny pulls off the win, I'm not going to say, well, Spence was just damaged from the car crash. He said he's okay. So I have no choice but to believe him at this point. But, I know it's there, but I just don't think that Danny's got the style, to do the things to exploit Spence's weaknesses, man. Porter has that come forward aggression, which made Spence likes to back straight up a lot, and then that's where you can get opportunities with him. And Porter likes to throw a lot of punches. Garcia is very, very, economic with his punches. He's a counter puncher, so I just think the styles here favor Spence more than anything. But Garcia's tough. He's shown a good chin throughout his entire career. He's shown good power, though not as much power here at 147. Spence, his power, again, he's got good power, but as he's stepped up in class, we have not seen the knockouts like he was getting when he was fighting guys like the Ocampos and the Algieri. Those type of dudes. But he is hurting guys. So, I'm going to roll with Earl Spence here. I just think he's a little more versatile than Danny Garcia. I think the jab, I really love Spence's jab. And he's a southpaw, and those guys are always difficult to deal with. But I do expect Danny Garcia to do some things in there, man. I think it's going to be a good fight.
Absolutely. If you guys want a more thorough breakdown, you go to Chief Funky's channel, Chief Funky 84. You want to go to sit there. You could also listen to Hispanic Cause Panic on Tuesday and all that good stuff. All right. Hey, check this out. Here's what I want to ask you guys, because I keep hearing, this there's like this eerie feeling I'm getting that people are just overlooking Danny Garcia, like Danny Garcia is this water, you know what I mean? And everybody's grabbing the beer. You know what I mean? Like, hey, Danny, I'm just saying, but everyone keeps talking, undisputed. Oh, Crawford. Is he going to fight Crawford in the future? What about Manny Pacquiao? What about this guy? They're in a collision course, him and Crawford, this non-collision course that, like, the fight doesn't get any closer to happening, but people keep talking about it, right? Like, very little talk about, what if Danny wins? What if Danny pulls off the upset here? What effect will that have in the welterweight division? Very few people are talking about how that could shake up the whole division and the boxing world, right? Milcar, is he being overlooked? Are people just underestimating the potential win here?
He is kind of being overlooked, but I would also say that it's kind of his own doing. I mean, I saw Danny Garcia get thoroughly outboxed by El Profe, in Puerto Rico, I think is where it was. And Mauricio, he schooled him basically, and he got robbed. And Errol Spence is at least as good a boxer. In fact, he's better, he's bigger, he's stronger. The question for me just really boils down to this injury and his recuperation from it. This is the same Danny Garcia that got beat by Keith Thurman. I was actually at that fight. I think Errol Spence is a better fighter than Keith Thurman. We did kind of see Spence, you know, in the view of many, kind of struggle a little bit with Sean Porter, but that's only because Porter did better than anyone else has ever done against him. He still won that fight. And, you know, Danny's got an opportunity. I said this on the Spanish Causing Panic, like, this is a lottery ticket for him. You know, he wins this, he resets the course of his career. So he's very fortunate to be in this position. The reason I say that is specifically because of that car collision. This is a great opportunity for Danny Garcia, and we'll see if he capitalizes on it in a way that he couldn't do when he's faced off against, you know, fellow high-level PBC guys in the past.
Absolutely. Hey, shout out to the Texan, Joe Lopez, 40 ounce. Who needs water when you have beer? Like that. This is Danny Garcia right now. Everybody's overlooking him. You know what I mean? Matthew Thompson, how are you doing? Haplotype in the chat as well. Nopal Boxillanos, World Combat Sports. Welcome. Bruce goes on here. Afro Rican G, Tiny Tim, Gano Local Sports, and Taco on here. Shout out to you, man. And of course, we're joined now by and the Texan, by the way, shout out to you too. But we're joined by Raw Boxing. How is it going, bro? How you doing?
Man, I'm gonna tell you what. From that show we did last night, we should have wore a mask. I'm not feeling too good. You guys got me hooked with the Rona. I think I'm not feeling too good. My throat hurts.
Oh wow,
my head's starting to hurt. So,
wow,
but everything's good. Everything's good. Let's
get you some caldo, bro. That'll
hey,
fix you right up.
That's what I thought. I was like, I'm gonna tell my wife to.
You need the suegra to come bring you some caldo, bro. You know what I mean? But check it out, man. I know you
Who's the
talked about it
brothers here?
yesterday.
I don't know these brothers. Who are they?
Okay, well, this is a Milk Car from Leave It in the Ring and a 408 from the Shoe Shine part of
What
the
up, Cano Loco?
network.
Appreciate you, man.
So welcome. I want to ask you some. I know we talked about it yesterday, but for people, you know, listening on the, you know, archive and people listening on the Leave It in the Ring network, go ahead and, you know, talk to us about how you see this Garcia versus Spence fight playing out.
Oh, sure, man. First of all, I want to say thank you. I know I thanked G-Funk yesterday. I want to thank you for having me on the show. The way I see this fight playing out, the way I see this fight in general is I think that Danny Garcia has to go ahead and find out for himself whether Errol Spence Jr. in fact is okay from the accident. You know, he needs to go out there and try to put that chin to the test. Of course, easier said than done, right? Because Errol Spence Jr., even though he does commit the punches from time to time, even though he gets touched from time to time, he doesn't have the best of defense, but he has a decent defense. And not to mention that in order to try to test his chin, you might take a few one yourself. Now, listen, like I said on my video, like I said yesterday on the show, no one knows Errol Spence Jr.'s body more than himself. Okay. If he thinks that he's okay, we can only assume that he's okay. Now, if by any miracle, by any chance he loses his fight, you know, we cannot go around talking about, well, he lost because of the accident. Because let's be real here. He's the one that's been saying, I'm okay. He looks very good, to be honest with you. He looks in very good shape. His coach even says he's okay. I like Errol Spence for this fight. I think Errol Spence Jr., like I said yesterday, can easily outbox Danny Garcia. I think he can bring him in by setting traps at the mid-range, capitalizing on that. I believe both fighters have enough power to respect each other. What do I mean? They're not going to go in there reckless and trying to take each other's head off. One, because, let's see, Danny Garcia, who is being put on the pedestal of the power puncher here, let's remember, he has more fights, but the same amount of knockouts as Errol Spence Jr., giving Errol Spence Jr. the higher knockout ratio. Okay? So we could easily say or assume that both guys are going to have a little respect for each other's power. At the end of the day, it's boxing, right? It's Cano Local Sports. It's not a 50-50 for me. There's no way it's a 50-50 for me. I definitely have to stick with Earl Spence Jr. And by the way, guys, let's go ahead and give credit to Earl Spence Jr. because it's not often that you see a fighter go through what he's going through or what he went through and say, you know what, my first fight back, I won one of the top guys in the division, right? You don't hear that. You usually see them fighting, a Uber driver or a taco salesman or something easy for them to just jump in and then feel each other out. Okay, I was able to feel good in the ring. Let me step up in competition. Now, Earl Spence says, I want all the smoke. I don't care if my lungs get clogged up. I want all the smoke. Give me Danny Garcia.
We're gonna give him smoke. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's all good. So he put out the smoke signals. We're gonna see.
There ain't gonna be no 7th round knockout though. Angel Garcia is blowing smoke off his nose.
I hear you, brother. 408. I want to ask you something here, man. Is Danny Garcia being overlooked here, in your opinion?
Yes, he's absolutely. Well, if Spence isn't training like he's a high caliber opponent, yes, he's being overlooked because Danny's always had a history of a fantastic hook, and he's a big puncher, of course, and his counterpunching's elite. There's a lot to still like about Danny Garcia. We just don't know which Danny Garcia is going to show up this Saturday. Is it going to be the one that wants to make history?
Right.
Well, or will he succumb, already having 2 close losses officially on his record? Will that be the Danny Garcia we see? Yeah, you should definitely not be overlooking him. And casual fans, if you're tuning into this, hey, he's a live opponent. That's probably a pay-per-view you're going to want to watch this one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Hey, Raw TV, I want to pose that question to you because that was the next question I was asking the panel. In your opinion, are people overlooking Danny Garcia? The boxing fans at large, are they just completely overlooking the possibility that he could pull this upset?
Okay. The casual fan, when have they not overlooked Danny Garcia? We were speaking about this yesterday. Back when Garcia was, even before he fought Matisse, on several of his fights, they were counting this kid out. Mm-hmm. Why? Because Danny Garcia, if you look at Danny Garcia, the one in the amateurs, he was showing in the amateurs, I got boxing skills. I can handle this. Look at him. Is that a chela, bro?
This is Estrella Jalisco. You know what I mean?
Anyway, but then Danny Garcia, the pro, has it's a little bit more flat-footed, and we've always known that boxers that are just depending on power, it's just a matter of time before the skillful guy comes and beats them, right? But Danny Garcia, I believe, has been overlooked in a lot of his big victories. Before him getting the victories, people are like, man, that kid's going to get killed. And he comes out victorious. I believe, without a doubt, that for this fight, he's also being overlooked. Even though I'm picking Junior to win, Spence Jr. to win, I'm not sleeping on Garcia. Like I said on my video, I'm done counting this cat out because here comes that one punch that he touches his opponent with, and he changes the entire fight. Right. That whatever plans his opponent had, all of a sudden just changed because he felt something that he didn't like. Right. So yes, he's being overlooked, especially by the YTBC. I hear a lot of people throwing $10,000 bets, $5,000 bets. And I'm like, oh man, that's
crazy.
Yeah, man.
That's insane.
Hey, somebody that I really enjoyed today, Showbiz, he posted a $5,000 bet today on Earl Spence Jr.
The thing about what you were saying about
Who's
the flat-footedness.
Guy that bet on Garcia? Okay, go ahead, Melcar.
No, I was just gonna say that the flat-footedness actually, while it usually is kind of a negative, in Danny Garcia's case, it's part of his great balance. And
it is.
It's also part of
power.
And I was just about to say that his ability to really throw heavy-handed counter punches that are quick and straight and to the target when he's in on the inside. I mean, that's part of his. He gives up that by planting his feet. So he is flat-footed, but there's a purpose behind that flat-footedness, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes sense.
Well, I mean, we're going to see how this goes here. I mean, just imagine the welterweight division, guys. if Danny Garcia wins.
Yo,
Just the monkey wrench. I mean, just throwing that monkey wrench into the toolbox. It's going to mess everything up. You know what I mean? It might make it interesting though. So we'll see how that goes. I guarantee we'll probably get Garcia against Pacquiao. I guarantee we'll probably get that fight. You know what I mean? But we will see how that goes. Shout out to Grape Drank and Mexico Native. All right. Mexico Native says Showbiz lost 10,000 last time betting on Loma.
yeah,
right?
he bet on Loma,
Man.
lost 10 stacks, and
He must have.
he bet 10,000 to win 2,000. So
Yeah.
if Loma would have won that night, he would have only won his 10,000 back plus an extra 2. But
You know what it was? He was about to like not do it, but then he listened to the round table, right? And he listened to a milk cart break it down and say 100%. Right? He said 100%. A milk cart, one more shot. I'm gonna give you one more shot, one opportunity, one moment. This is everything you ever wanted to get that 100% fight right. Are you gonna throw the 100%?
I can't do it on this one. I gotta save that. I just don't throw those out every week. I gotta save that.
Right. Oh, we gotta save it. We gotta be patient with those. I got you.
Those are like lifelines on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
You know what it
Gotta
is?
get
It's
three.
it's like false bravado. It's like I want to believe something's true, so I say it.
Well, there you go.
It's the power of words, man.
Look, man, I want to give a shout out again to Live It in the Ring Network. You can listen on Pandora, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbeam. Well, what are the other ones? I mean, there's so many of them out there. We're in all of them.
iHeartRadio. Yeah.
iHeartRadio. You know what I mean? iHeart, bro. Like, do you iHeart HCP? Do you heart? Leave in the ring. iHeartRadio. Okay. So all that stuff, man. Make sure you guys listen to us on there, man. Look. I want to bring this up, man. Welterweight, because I just kind of talked about it. What if Garcia wins? What if, regardless of what happens, right? Like, what do you guys think? Is let me pose this question to you. By the end of 2022, will we crown an undisputed champion at 147 pounds, welterweights? Let's start with you, Raw Boxing. Will there be an undisputed by the end of 2022? 2 years.
I think we should be able to crown one way before the end of 2022.
And we all want it by January, but will it happen by the end of 2022?
I mean, see, the problem we have with boxing nowadays in different, comparing it to 10, 15 years ago, the problem we're having with boxing nowadays, like we were talking yesterday, is the cold wars between promotional companies. A lot of that issue is depriving the boxing community from getting the fights they want to see. And sometimes the fight we want to see is that fight that's going to crown the champion, but not only crown the champion, but it's the fight that's going to heat up the division. So I am hoping, I'm going to be the positive thinker here and says we should have a champion before the end of 2022. I'm just going to stay positive on that.
I posed a question to the chat. I want to know what you guys think. We want to know what the people think. Well, what do you guys think? Do you believe, that we will have an undisputed 2022? Go listen on podcast form at D-Style Boxing, and let me know. If on Twitter, right? You tell me, will there be undisputed by the end, of 2022? G Funky, will it happen? You get that G Funky crystal ball out there. What do you think?
I don't see it happening, man. Fortunately, I always hope for that because
Don't be so negative, G Funky.
Yeah, I mean,
that Caldo affected him yesterday.
right. No, yeah, man. It's just too many politics, especially at 147, man. Too much politics. I mean, we got a good chance for it at 140 because we got Taylor, Ramirez, both under Top Rank, so that's more than likely to happen there. But that's what I look for, man. Like, I look for the guys that look to grab all the belts, man. To me, that's the most impressive thing to do in the division. But I just don't see it, man. Too much politics going on right now at welterweight. But hey, man, I hope for the best, man. But I just don't see it.
All right. Okay. That's him hoping for the best. Imagine if he was hoping for the worst. I mean, goddamn. Hey, 408, talk to me.
Well, you're giving us all of 2021 to make these big moves, but judging from the behavior of Bob Arum just a couple weeks ago and all the things he said in the press about Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford is the missing element over at PBC to make this unification happen. And his contract expires, I believe, in October of 2021.
And which you got another year after that.
Yeah, you still have, like you said, you still have ample time for Bud to make that decision to move and leave. And it's entirely possible if Bud makes that move to PBC that we can have a unified champ at 147. They've got the top 5 over at PBC, and if he makes that move, I can see it happening. But as Raw Boxing was pointing out, the politics are so deep right now between those promotional camps that I don't think Bob Arum has any intention of making those super fights for him. And that's sad. That's a sad commentary on the state of boxing, that you don't want your top fighter facing the most elite other fighters, right? I mean, that's what the boxing fans want right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Matthew Thompson makes some good points. Hey, I want to thank you for joining the D-Style membership. I appreciate the support very much. Milcar, by the end of 2022, if you had to bet on it, would you bet that there will be an undisputed champion crown?
Absolutamente no. Absolutely not. I would never do that. And I'll tell you when I thought something might happen was when Porter was the WBC champ, Crawford was the WBO champ, and there was talks of the two fighting. This was before Porter went on to lose to Errol Spence Jr. And it didn't happen then. And from what I understand, it kind of was the Top Rank side more than it was the Porter side. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I remember. Somebody just said it. He's got 2 fights left on his contract with Top Rank. I don't see them going over to fight in the PBC. And as much as I'd love to see it, I just don't see it happening. I'm actually hopeful that Crawford takes on Virgil Ortiz, who, for whatever it's worth, holds a WBA gold title. I think that would be a really good fight, and I've heard that Ortiz is open for it. So that's something that I'm hopeful for.
Yeah, you know what the welterweight division reminds me of right now is when I would get in trouble, right, with my siblings or with my cousins, right? And an elder will come, like my dad or my uncle. ¿Qué están haciendo? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, it was him. He started it. It was him.
Started blaming each other and stuff.
Him. Like, everyone's pointing at each other and all this stuff. Let me tell you something. There's just too much working against boxing. And will I like a undisputed champion by the end of 2022? Yes. However, I agree with most of the panel here. I mean, I want to be optimistic like Raw Boxing. I really do, but I just can't. I just can't do it. Like, you know what I mean? I'm so pessimistic when it comes to boxing. I think it's a defense mechanism. That way, I don't have these high expectations and then get let down. Now, if it surpasses my expectations, that's good, But let me just say this, man. Crawford's at Top Rank. Even if he signs at Top Rank, or away from Top Rank, or so let's say he goes to PBC, that won't be till 2021, right? And then who's to say that he doesn't fight Pacquiao or somebody else instead of Spence? And who's to say that one of them doesn't lose by then? And who's to say that one of them doesn't? Who's to say Spence doesn't get stripped of one of the belts because he didn't find a mandatory instead of fighting? And he does give us a Crawford fight or something like that. There's just so much working against us as boxing fans for us to get it. I hope we do get it. But let me talk about something that's maybe more realistic. All right. Something that, maybe we could talk about that's far more realistic. Just south of the border from 147 pounds. Okay. It's 140 pounds. All right. The junior welterweight division, there's 2 guys there. Okay. There is Josh Taylor. There is Jose Ramirez, right? And we got Mario Barrios there too. No, I'm just kidding.
Mario Barrios.
Yeah, all roads.
All roads.
Mario Barrios, okay? But in all seriousness, we got the Mexican-American Jose Ramirez with Top Rank, okay? We have Josh Taylor, okay, from Scotland, okay? The reincarnation of William Wallace, all right?
Also with Top Rank.
Also with Top Rank, or an association with, I believe, but nonetheless, a very makeable fight. Okay. Will we get this fight in 2021? Right? Chief Funky, are you more optimistic about that one?
Absolutely, I am. Both guys fight on ESPN, so there should be no reason why this can't happen. There should be no reason why they wouldn't want one of their guys under their promotional banner to have all the belts, except for the real WBA champ Mario Barrios, you know. But nah, man, I think that's more likely to happen, and probably will happen next year. I'm actually kind of shocked that we haven't heard anything about a possible fight date or anything for that. Both guys won their last fight, so there should be no reason why it can't happen. I'm thinking spring, maybe summertime.
I think they're waiting for a live gate and live audience. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the promotional companies right now, what they're seeing from the business side of it. I was listening to a podcast today, actually, talking about this is, and not just in boxing, also partially MMA and big time in soccer or football, however you want to call it. Is right now they're throwing all these venues, but their investment is not being returned at a level that they would like it to be, mainly because of the lack of live audience. We got to remember that the live audience doesn't account just for the people paying the entrance. You know, they're paying $6-7 for a hot dog. They're paying $5.25 for a Pepsi.
$9 for a beer.
$9 for a beer, and you multiply all of that times however many thousands it's sitting up there. It's a lack of entrance when it comes to the greens, and so I know there's a lot of promotional companies right now being extremely careful on what fight to put on, how much they invest in each fight, because of that same thing of that fight coming back. But I'll just add to this real quick. D-Style was mentioning earlier that, you know, he's a pessimist, and my question is,
when it comes to boxing,
yeah. Why? How can we not be? I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
This is the result of this promotional Cold Wars. When you and everything really started, if you think about it, right after Floyd left Bob Arum. Once Floyd left Bob Arum, and Bob Arum obviously started positioning himself, the Cold Wars became more intense. I just don't understand. I don't understand how as a promoter, as a business person, as somebody who wants to invest money to make money, if your fighter has a potential mega purse to be made against a fighter from another stable, why not? Sit down. It ain't Oscar De La Hoya versus Bob Arum in the ring. You know, don't nobody care what Oscar De La Hoya and Bob Arum are talking about. We just want to see their fighters going at it in the ring. Ultimately, that's what should interest them, what interests us. Because what interests us is watching them, and we're gonna pay the money, and they're gonna make the money. But somehow is that personal stuff, you know?
I think in this case, though, we're fortunate that they're both under the ESPN Top Rank umbrella.
Yeah.
The thing though in this equation is that both guys are proven ticket sellers, and
so
because of that, they both generate a lot of money at the gate. And the gate has always been more important in Europe than it has been in the United States, where HBO and Showtime were like doling out huge license fees for fights. Promoters in the UK really had to do the hard graft work of like selling tickets and promoting it to the live audience. But with Ramirez sells out arenas, man.
He does.
I mean, so I just don't think they want to leave that money off the table. And I think with the vaccine and everything that's happening now, they're just hopeful that if they just wait it out until the spring, they'll be able to get to a live gate. That's kind of what I think. Was that D-Style?
Will we get the fight in 2021?
Yeah, I think so. And another reason I think so is because Jack Catterall's already taken the step aside money. Jack Catterall was the mandatory for Jose Ramirez, and Jack Catterall is a Frank Warren fighter from the UK, right? So he's already stepped aside to allow this fight to take place.
That's great news there,
man. Maybe the mandatory. I'll step aside. Shit.
Yeah.
I mean, like, how much?
He took the money. He actually fought last weekend on the undercard of Dubois and Joyce. That was his step aside fight. So he's already done what needs to be done for this fight to take place. So it should happen. 408.
All right, let me give a shout out to Rick Marigian, who handles Jose Ramirez, and also down just south of me in Salinas, Ruben Villa, who helped him get that 126-pound title opportunity. There's no doubt that Jose Ramirez can sell out a stadium in Fresno. But I'm entirely optimistic that they're going to make this fight happen by 2021. Yes, he sells extremely well, and so does his counterpart. He can easily sell out a space in Scotland. But if they were able to put Lopez and Lomachenko together in Vegas in the bubble with no audience, I don't doubt that these two champions at 140 pounds would meet without a live gate. But even if we waited for the virus, for these vaccines to come out and you find appropriate venue at the end of 2021, it's entirely worth waiting for this unification match.
All right, well said. Look, I mean, at the end of the day, I do believe that we're likely to get this fight. It'll likely be for undisputed, and that'll be a big deal for boxing. We need more of these undisputed fights to happen. Now, the only thing that could happen is if, let's say, Teofimo decides to move up to 140, it might be Teofimo versus one of these guys for undisputed, not necessarily those two. So who knows? You know what I mean? So I don't know what Teofimo's going to do yet.
A great
So,
fight.
Well, there's so many good fights for him.
Undisputed. Has that ever happened before?
I'm pretty sure fighters have gotten in.
Not that I can think of off the top of my head.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to go on record and say never, because some historian's going to pop up and be like, "Yes, it has." You know, like,
Yeah, I know. But
like,
I just can't think. I just can't think of it right now.
Put it in the
what
comments.
we have right now is like the championship is broken into pieces, right? And you got to collect them all to be the undisputed champion, right? So we have had undisputed, like Henry Armstrong was the undisputed featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight champion of the world. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah, I was kind of talking about the 3-belt era or 4-belt era, but yeah, good point, D.
I want to throw that out there before some smart ass comes here and be like, "Oh, yes, it has happened before." You know what I mean? Like, just yes, I know. Chill, right? Like,
also, in regards to this fight, it's important for the YTBC community to realize something. We're moving in the right direction. This Saturday, this fight's gonna have a live audience. So that's a step in the right direction. We don't know how things are gonna go after this Saturday. I would like to think that after this fight, if a lot of people don't get out of there infected, then that they will be open to allow a little more and a little more. But definitely, we're moving in the right direction. There are states, of course, that are more flexible with the social distancing and stuff. Yeah. We're just hoping that things continue to move in the right direction.
Speaking of this fight, okay, and I agree with you. I do think we're moving in the right direction. And if fights don't happen here, look, Australia just had 0 new cases like 3 days in a row. Okay. So there's a place you could go do the fights. You can go to Australia and do the fights. There's places to go where you can make the fights, or just go to Florida. They don't follow anything over there anyway. Just go over there. You know what I mean? Like just do the fight in Florida. You know what I mean? Like, hey, but check it out. I don't want to put you guys in a spot or anything like that. 408, who do you got winning this fight? Jose Ramirez, Josh Taylor. Okay, USA/Mexico versus Scotland.
Oh, my God. I wish you wouldn't ask me, because I'm a big fan of Jose Ramirez, and I'm a California guy, and Rick Marigon's doing great things with him. But he did not look very good against Postol. I'm sorry, he didn't. If the fight was coming up this month, I'd be hard-pressed to say I had Jose Ramirez, but there's going to be a lot of time. I think this year we've seen a lot of top elite fighters in the bubble that we were a little bit disappointed by their performances, whether it's the training camp, this difficult nature of having top elite sparring partners constantly being tested or coming up sick. So yeah, if it's next year in 2021, I'm definitely rooting for Jose Ramirez. But if it was next month, I would have a hard time saying he's looked the best of the two recently.
Let me say this really quick, okay? I hear that a lot, and I hear you about how he looked against Postol. He was never hurt against Postol, though. You know who was hurt by Postol?
Josh Taylor.
Yep. He had him on Queer Street, round 7. Okay, if it wasn't for the knockdown, you can argue Postol wins that fight. That fight was a lot closer than people think. People need to go back and watch that fight. Watch Josh Taylor against Postol, man. That is a fight you got to watch, okay? And I want to take this question here. Let me just go to Beeb really quick. What's going on, Beeb?
Hey, everybody? There he is.
Olé, baby.
Well, table now.
Olé.
Right? I make this thing work one way or another. Hey, Beeb, I want to ask you really quick. Will we get Ramirez versus Taylor
Yes.
at 140 pounds, undisputed 2021, in your opinion?
Yes, 100%.
Oh, wow. Oh, whoa. Melgar, he's taking over your 100%. What's going on over here? You know what I mean? Okay, who wins the fight, Beeb, in your opinion?
You convinced me Ramirez is going to win.
Oh, wow.
And I'll tell you why. Little tougher. Has a little bit more dog in him on the inside.
I agree.
And shout out to Brown Boxing, Nopal Boxianos, and Josh Taylor. Joe Lopez, 40 ounces. Taylor didn't look good against Postal. I agree. People got to go back and watch that fight. I'm just saying. Funky. Oh, I'm sorry, Beeb. Go ahead.
He looks complacent sometimes in fights. Like he has like these mental lapses where he just looks like he's just not into the fight, or he's just like mentally breaking down or something, or just not focused. Because he did it several times in the Postal fight where he just kind of looked like bewildered in that fight for whatever reason. We know Postal's a good fighter, but
I felt the same way, but I felt he kind of, I don't even want to say redeemed himself, but I felt he showed his toughness in the Prograis fight.
I mean that fight was close, but I actually thought he lost that fight, to be honest with you. I had Prograis winning that fight 115 and 113. Thought it was a razor close decision either way.
I had the same. I had the same for Prograis.
Yeah, I thought he lost.
Though, a lot of close rounds in that fight.
Yeah,
I was just speaking specifically about his ability to battle and fight through adversity.
Hey, he did. Let me tell you, he looked like Quasimodo and everything. I was just waiting for him to climb the top of Notre Dame and be like, sanctuary! You know what I mean? Like with the eye and shit. You know what I mean? So he definitely he did take a lot of punishment from Prograis, which, you know, there's a lot of them are my friends and all that, but I hear him on YouTube. Oh, Josh Taylor, he's got this great boxing IQ and his great defense.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see his face? Sanctuary, he said, on top of Notre Dame. I know that right now Rod has something to say. Look at him shopping at the bit. What's going on, Rod? What do you think?
I mean, the one thing I wanted to say was, you know, I'm not going to so much dwell on the fact that he didn't look good against in that fight. Because a lot of our good fighters, and especially Teofimo Lopez did not look good with Nakatani. And then we saw what happened the very next fight. Every fighter has a night that's where they're not performing at their finest, right? But that's when you get to see the dog in them. Okay, I know I'm not fighting 100% tonight. I know I'm not reacting like I'm supposed to be reacting, but I'm gonna dig deep just to pull this fight. That's what Ramirez has done. And we cannot forget, Ramirez is not just a guy that got a boxing license and became a pro. Ramirez has an amateur schooling behind him, okay? And so, yes, he didn't look good in that fight, but I would like to think that, like any fighter can have a bad night, he also has the dog in him and the experience to bounce back and give us besides, to fight this guy, it's going to be a high-level fight. It's going to be a fight where it's going to require a very focused training camp, right? Precise sparring partners, right? Yeah, he didn't look good, but I would like to think he's going to be ready 100% if he fights in 2021.
Hey, there you go. G Funky. Talk to us. What do you think? I know you're a big Josh Taylor fan. You're going to get your kilt and everything for the fight, but talk to me.
Oh, dude, I'm going to get the kilt. I'm going to get the bagpipes. You know, I'm going to just, you know, I'm going to come out like Roddy Piper, bro, for this one.
And let me ask you another question. Do you want to see a battle of the band, the bagpipe band versus the mariachis?
Yes. Just like Sanchez and Gomez, man. We had the mariachis versus the salsa band. Like that was good stuff there, man. But yeah, I said it before when it was already shaping up to look like there was going to be undisputed at 140. I was already thinking that, you know, if Ramirez gets past Hooker, you know, Taylor would be, if Taylor beat Prograis, that would be the better matchup for him. And I'm sticking to that, man. Now, I know, again, that was a big thing after the Postal fight, Ramirez versus Postal. We had a lot of people going around saying a lot of things, you know, but they refused to go back and look at the way that Taylor looked against Postal. Now, I'm not basing my pick off of that. It's just, you know, we just had to say, hey, look, your guy didn't look so hot either. All right, he was almost knocked out in that 7th round. Okay, so let's pump the brakes on that, you know. But I just think like Beeb said, I just think that Ramirez he's dangerous, man, because he's got a great chin, he's got good power, doesn't mind sticking his nose out there and getting hit with some things.
A dog.
Yep, he's a dog, man. He's a bulldog, and
he's got skills.
Yes, I feel like he can get to Taylor. Now, I don't think it's going to be easy at all. I think this is a good competitive fight for both guys. Both guys are going to give each other trouble, but I think in the end, if I had to pick one guy, I have to go with Ramirez, man. I just think he's got that little bit extra than Taylor, but it's a good fight, man. I really want to see that one.
That's not what Bradley called him Mamita.
Ramirez.
Didn't call him Mamita. Like, whoa, Brad, you got beef with this dude? What's wrong?
Oh, goodness.
Hey, but Milcar.
Ramirez.
Well, as the Mexicans say, no mamas.
Right.
Milcar, I know that it's Batman theme month on my channel and all that, but let's not do the two-phase, 50-50. It's a coin toss or none of that. Okay, I need to hear who do you think's going to win.
Get your feet wet and tell us what you think. Don't play it safe.
Well, I'm not usually too good when I give it 100%, so I might have to move to the 50-50 camp moving forward. That's what I posted in the chat. I mean, it's really tough. I honestly do see it as going kind of either way. But if I did have to lean towards one of the two, it's Ramirez, and he's just been getting better and better every fight. And I really, even the last fight, I thought he did pretty well. And then the reason being, I felt like Postal was being totally written off. And this is a guy who's a really good fighter. Did he dominate Postal? No, he didn't dominate him, but he did a job on him, and he won the fight, I thought. Look at what he did with Maurice Hooker. Not a lot of people thought he was going to do that. So, when the time comes and he steps up and faces off in big fights against top competition, he's always proven himself to do well. Like, you could say the same thing about Taylor, but like Beeb said, I mean, a lot of people really thought that Prograis won that fight. I mean, I felt it could have gone either way, but a lot of people felt that Prograis won that fight. Even people in the UK, not just, people out here in the US. So
right.
I'd see it as kind of a 55-45 right now, Ramirez.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. That fight was close enough that I think it definitely warranted a rematch, but for whatever reason, we never got a rematch, right?
Yeah.
So there's usually when there's not a rematch, it's because the guy that won, is having reservations about, hey man, that fight could have gone either way. Do I really want to fight this guy if I don't have to?
Yeah. Think about Edwards. Barely keeping his WBC title, needed Mauricio Suleiman to step in to save him. He didn't give a rematch. You know what I mean? No. Just speaking about another guy out there in the UK.
Absolutely. All right. Look,
Mariachi.
Man. This is just, for anybody who thinks that Taylor dominated, Postal or something like that. I just want to show some people some. I don't even want to replay it.
Don't do him like that, D. Don't do him like that.
You know what I mean? I just want to remind people that, he didn't exactly have an easy time with Postal now, because I keep hearing that he had an easy time now.
No, neither of them did. Postal's a good fighter.
Here's where it starts right here. Check this out.
Oh, Ramirez, I mean, he needs to watch how Taylor did it so he can see how you're supposed to do it. Oh, man, he's getting lit up right now. He's like Hades from the Disney movie. His head's lit up.
He's hanging on for dear life right there.
He's getting lit up like a Christmas tree right now.
And right on time. Merry Christmas, everybody. Brought to you by Postal. You know what I mean? The post office is bringing you the Christmas tree. Look at this. Jingle bell, jingle bell.
The last time I saw Postal back someone up like this was when he fought Matisse. When he fought Matisse and he knocked him out.
Yeah, Postal's made a lot of people look poor.
Well, look, Postal did something that a lot of people haven't done. I mean, he went the distance with Terrence Crawford. The guy's a good fighter.
Yeah, he is.
It was only after that fight where people started to kind of dog out Postal. Before that, people were calling him a savage pretty much.
Don't you hate that though? But don't you hate that?
Absolutely, I hate that.
Yeah, I can't stand that, bro. It's like if a fighter's good, he's gonna be good whether he keeps winning or if he loses against another great fighter. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, Terrence Crawford is the boogeyman right now. You see what I'm saying? So
his
why
three
are we
losses are to Crawford, Ramirez, and Taylor.
for real? So why are people
He's
dogging this
he's
man,
a great fighter. Like,
And I want to mention this too. We just seen what happened in that 7th round there. The judging in that fight was so bad. There was so much home cooking in that fight that the judges gave Taylor that round. He was almost down.
Bro, it was in Glasgow. He was in Glasgow. The fans were all drunk and were screaming for everything that Josh Taylor did.
Let me go on record and say this, okay? I feel Taylor won the fight, so don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. But I scored it like 7-5, and of course Taylor had the knockdown, so he comfortably won. But that was a lot closer than people think, honestly. Like it was a pretty close fight. Like, don't be fooled by the fact that, in my opinion anyway, how we looked against Ramirez. Now, with that said, 408, I'm just telling you right now, it may appear like it in this panel, but you're not in the minority. Like most people got Taylor winning the fight. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, I'm just putting that out there. You know, it's all good. You know, a lot of big, YouTubers on here picking Josh Taylor to win. But since you were the Lone Ranger here, any final thoughts you have? Anything else that's lingering in your head about this fight?
I do. Ramirez, I want to commend Ramirez because there's not a lot of champions doing what he's doing in the community. Specifically, he's out in Fresno. A lot of these champions, California champions, he's literally like working with the farm workers movement still.
Yes, he is.
And so a lot of my decision for this fight, I mean, if he can get the home field advantage and stage this at the end, depending on what happens here in California with the virus, but if the fight takes place in Fresno, that's a tremendous moral boost to have the entire city of Fresno and local communities behind him. He definitely has a lot of support behind him in the local community.
By the way, those listening on the podcast form, all you heard was, oh, look. I know you can't see it. Go to Chief Funky's page, and I'll have them retweet it or something, Chief Funky, so they could see that. It is the 7th round of that fight. So you get, just for those listening on demand, and all that good stuff. With that said, I want to go to this, man. And let me ask Beeb this question really quick before we continue. Beeb, yes. I asked this earlier, and I want your opinion on this. Will we have an undisputed champion at welterweight by the end of 2022?
No.
Wow. Everybody
surprised.
Except Rob, like, yes, we will do it. I
was trying to say yes.
Yeah.
But
come on, man, let's be optimistic here.
But the truth, but I just had a little sip of the truth serum, and I had to tell the truth, man.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because I'll tell you right now, I don't think Errol Spence really has any desire to fight Crawford. I just don't think he does, and I think he's being advised to not fight him. I think that the PBC is going to keep all. They're going to just like when Arum had all those welterweights. I know I sound like a broken record because I went over this several times. It was like when Arum had Cotto, Margarito, Bradley, Pacquiao, Josh Clottey, Marquez. What did he keep doing? He kept recycling them. And this is the blueprint. All promoters do the same thing, because if they have all the pieces on the chessboard, then they're going to control it 100%.
Yeah.
There's no upside for them to fight Crawford.
Yeah. Absolutely. You guys are tuning in to the Round Table, December 3rd edition. Follow me at D-Style Boxing. Follow Chief Funky at Chief Funky84 on YouTube, on Twitter. I'm sorry. Hashtag the shoe shine to get more information on 408 and Emil Cars. That's at Emil Caribe, right?
Yep, Emil Caribe. I'm going to start posting on Emil Caribe on YouTube as well. So check that out soon.
Definitely. And then at Joe Habib 1, and you can listen to Ringside Reporter on Sundays. Make sure you do that. And Raw Boxing TV, follow him. Go ahead and subscribe to him here on YouTube, just as a reminder, guys. But hold on, we're not done with the show yet. You know what I mean? Hey, check it out. Clarissa Shields. me and G fucking talked about it just yesterday, so I kind of want to, give you guys the floor with this, okay? Amilcar, what are your thoughts on her signing with an MMA promotion? It is, just for those that don't know, it is a seasonal promotion, which means she'll be doing both still, according to her. But here are the questions I pose to you. What are your thoughts in general about it? But also, will she actually have an MMA fight?
My main thoughts are two things. One, the UFC kind of demands exclusivity. They don't allow their fighters to box. So, back in the day when Fedor Emelianenko was like knocking everybody out, the reason he didn't, submitting people, the reason he didn't sign with UFC was because they wouldn't allow him to compete in Russian Sambo wrestling. And he wanted to compete in the world championships of that every year. So, I think a lot of the people that want to cross over don't really want to go to UFC route because the UFC won't allow them to continue to box. So that's the first thing in terms of why she didn't go UFC. The second thing I think is really just money. She's not making the kind of money she wants to make boxing, and she's not fighting as much as she wants to every year. So why not make some more money and fight in MMA and kind of increase your notoriety while you're doing that? So I think those are the two main reasons she stepped into the MMA and with this promotion specifically.
Yeah, but she wouldn't be ready for the UFC anyways. It's like Cyborg. Cyborg made all these excuses why she wanted to leave the UFC, and at the end of the day, Dana White was right about the situation with Cyborg. She just didn't want to fight Nunes again, and
facts.
Then that's all there was, really.
And another thing is,
she wasn't going to beat Nunes.
Well, I'll get to you guys. I'll get to you. Abib,
yes.
What are your general thoughts on this, and do you think she'll actually have an MMA fight?
I think she's going to back. I think she'll back out. She's not ready for this. She has no experience. I don't like it when these boxers just think that they can just all of a sudden start fighting in MMA like it's they can just pick it up like it's a hobby or something, and it doesn't take years and years of dedication and time honing your skills.
Nick Robinson stepping in
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
It's not easy it looks easy on TV. Try to do it. It's not the same thing.
So I think MMA is more dangerous sometimes than boxing because these guys can break bones and stuff,
Like your arms, arm bars, stuff like that.
Yeah, they can have some.
Yeah, that's another thing, Beeb. What do you think? Let's say someone breaks her arm in an arm bar, that could end her boxing career.
Yeah. So, listen, I've never heard of the organization she's going to be allegedly fighting for. I don't think they're going to be paying her more than boxing pays her. How much did she get for that Christina Hammer fight? What did she get? Like a couple $100,000 for that fight?
I think it was 300, and it was her highest purse.
Yeah,
because before that she was making about 150,000 average, between the 130, 150 range right there.
Yeah. So you fight twice a year. You make $300,000 a year. It's not a bad living.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
I could live off that.
Well, I want to go to you, Rob, because you mentioned to us yesterday that you worked with an MMA team over there. You worked with
MMA Islanders.
Well, what are your overall thoughts on this? And do you think it's a publicity stunt, or do you really think she's going to participate in MMA?
Well, the thing is, you never know whether she is going to or not. For what we know, there's already a contract that's been signed or on its way of being signed. But it's a little different. My situation was I was brought in to help this gym because they were under the ground game umbrella of Mike Yanis, which was a Brazilian guy, very good jiu-jitsu guy, but they had zero boxing skills. And I met the guy, and he said, "Hey, listen, I've seen your fights, and I've seen you work the corners. Would you be interested to come check us out?" And I just went over there. Then Mike Yanis gave me the opportunity of working with them. So it's a little different than grabbing an MMA fighter who's already schooled, perhaps at kicking, who's already schooled in the ground game. And basically, to be honest with you, for MMA, you don't need to polish a polished boxer. You just need a polished fundamental, right? Because you're not going to have the Philly shell. You're not going to have too much bobbing and weaving because you might run into a knee. So you got to make those clear distinctions when training an MMA fighter as a boxing coach when training them, right? The thing with Clarissa Shields is this. I've been seeing online where people are like, well, Miss Holmes did it. Why can't she do it? The difference is Holmes was already also an educated kickboxer. She was a professional boxer, an educated kickboxer, then moved on to MMA. And if you notice, not all of her fights go to the ground or finish on the ground. She either kicks you in the head or knocks you out, right?
And she was trained she was doing training MMA for a while before she even stepped into MMA.
Correct. This is why I think money is the main reason, okay? One, like we just said, her highest purse was 300 or close to 300,000, right? The average high level or decent female MMA fighter, it's making close to 100,000, and they don't bring 2 Olympic gold medals. Now you got to think of this: if she was to ever make it to the UFC, the fact that they're going to announce her with, being a two-time Olympian, it's going to add money to her purse, right? We just had a judoka. That's what you call it, right? A judo fighter. Judoka. I forgot her name, but she fought at MMA tournament.
Ronda Rousey.
No, not Ronda Rousey. This
another
is
one. Okay.
Well, she fought a little tournament, which consisted of 4 fights. She got $1 million for winning that tournament.
Wow, it's a nice little payday.
Yeah, I'm gonna come back with the name because I'm gonna do a video on this subject.
Okay.
I'm gonna expose the name. The chick is sick, and it's also an Olympian gold medalist, and has potential of being a Clarissa Shields weight. Now, if by any miracle Clarissa Shields was to be decent to where she can position herself to make the move to the UFC and position herself to go against Nunes, Clarissa doesn't have the power for Nunes. When Amanda Nunes hits you, it's a man hitting you. We all thought that Cyborg hit hard. Hell no. Nah. When Amanda Nunes hits you, I mean, have you seen how when she walks around, the build that she's got for a woman?
Yeah, but let's be honest. If you put her in a boxing ring, Clarissa Shields beats her pretty easy.
Correct. But guess what? In the cage, all she needs is minimal boxing, takedowns, and Amanda Nunes
down
or sick ground game.
But imagine leaving the cap off the toothpaste in the Nunes household. I wouldn't want to be that guy.
There you go.
I left the toilet seat up one day or something, and I'm staying over. I wouldn't want to be that guy. I'll tell you that. Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Has Ronda Rousey ever made $1 million in the UFC?
Oh yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
The thing is, I've said this in a past show. I mean, the world of female judo is a really big deal. I mean,
especially in Japan, bro.
It's a huge deal. It's Japan and France and even in England, like all over, like in Mexico. Like judo is a very big sport for women.
The Mexican team is big when it comes to
absolutely.
judo.
Absolutely. Taekwondo as well. Taekwondo is a bigger sport in Mexico for females than boxing is. It's not even close.
Correct. So after that,
what's Ronda Rousey's biggest payday?
Probably a movie.
Well, I'm not sure, but you got to think that for a while there, Ronda Rousey was the highest paid MMA fighter, male and female.
Power of the chat. Somebody find me the amount of money Ronda Rousey made. Give me her highest purse and put it in the chat with a source, by the way. Okay, yeah. But I want to add this point here. Look, Jeremy Williams, half man, half amazing. He was a former boxer, top 10 heavyweight contender. He went 5-0 in MMA. Okay, now he didn't fight like the cream of the crop or anything like that, but he handled himself very well. And the reason was because he's a judoka. You know what I mean? He wasn't just a boxer. He had a background in judo. You know what I mean? So he wasn't like, the problem is, what if they take me down? I could be 100 times better than the feet, but if they take me down, like I'm done, right? So just having that confidence that if they take me down, I'll know how to handle myself and get it back on my feet it's a big deal. I don't know anything about Clarissa having any type of ground game, any type of wrestling, and any type of judo, any type of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And I think she's too old at this point. I'm not saying she's ancient or anything for boxing, but to learn a new art to get to that point.
Well, James Toney thought he didn't need
The only thing helping her is the
James
fact
Toney
that
was
women's
a
MMA
way better boxer than Clarissa Shields.
What was
She's
that?
only 25.
Oh,
ain't she?
James Toney thought he didn't need a ground game, and
but
James
25
Toney's
is
a way better
old
boxer
learning
than
a new
Clarissa
sport.
Shields ever was.
That's my point. Like, I mean,
What he's saying though is about James Toney. Yeah.
no, but think about it. Okay, she's 25. Is that what he
Yeah,
said?
correct.
Okay, but by the time she does MMA, she's gonna be 26, right?
Yeah, yeah.
By the time she gets anything adequate, it's gonna take her a while.
She should be 30, 31. Yeah, I see
Listen,
what
She has to reprogram her muscle memory, the
So
way she
somebody-
approaches fights, her stance, just
You go
everything.
to a judo dojo, like these girls have been doing it since like 6, 7, 8 years
Right.
old. Like,
my
Well,
ex
it's
my ex stepdad was a high level judoka in Cuba.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
let's go ahead and Beep. Give me your thought. I still gotta go around here, but give me your thoughts really quick, so I can go to the next person. Go ahead.
about her being an MMA.
No, well, you were gonna say something. That's why.
Oh, okay. So I'm just saying, she has been boxing since she was a small child, and it took her years to be as good as she is now.
Right.
So what makes her think that like she can just at 25, 26, whatever, pick this up and be a pro at it? You know, I don't know.
There's only one thing working for her. Women's MMA just isn't as advanced as the men's. That's the one thing working for her. Okay.
Well, there's another thing working for her. She's not
Just
going
like
to be
very
women's boxing, not
competitive,
as
my
advanced
bro.
as the men's.
I agree.
It's not, but
I
it's
don't know
so
if I agree.
competitive though.
She's not
competitive.
Women's judo is like up there at the same level as men's judo. You know, women's taekwondo up there same level with men's taekwondo. She wants to step into a world where people are going to be kicking her and choking her out. She's
I agree with
she's
that.
in for a lot of trouble, man.
You can't learn how to kick and wrestle and do all this
Mm-mm.
submission shit in 6 months. It's too complicated, bro.
Especially not maybe you just do it at a lower level or something, and that's it, you know. But man, like she's got to be careful. The more
maybe-
she moves up,
And maybe she thinks because she's not in the UFC that she's going to be okay.
absolutely.
It's
But if you
false-
think
we
about
will
it,
see.
what's the point of signing an MMA contract if your ultimate goal isn't to make it to the UFC? Think about it, especially a fighter like her. If you're gonna leave boxing where you're comfortably making between 150 to 300,000, depending on who you're fighting, okay, and that is what you know since you're a little girl, and that is you are the alpha female, if that's the way to put it, because I don't see anybody else challenging her right now. Why are
That's
you
part
gonna?
of the problem. There aren't enough fighters
yeah.
out there for her in boxing.
Absolutely.
There's
there's
way
no
more
talent.
female fighters in MMA. And what made her believe that she was going to be Olympic champion, unfortunately, is now turning her to believe that she can make it in MMA. It's like that. The self-belief you need to
Really
be that
quick.
kind of high-level athlete is going to kind of bite her in the ass now.
Hey, shout out to the chat, man. Look at this. 30 watching, 30 likes. So that's what I'm talking about. 100%. All right. And you see what I mean? That's 100% right there. Okay. Make sure you jab my like button, by the way. 408. What
Yes,
are your
sir.
general thoughts? And do you think this is a publicity stunt, or do you really think she's crazy enough to get in an MMA cage?
I think it's entirely likely she will pursue a dual career like Heather Heat Hardy is doing. And it just mainly for the income. But a lot of good points you guys have brought up because I spent a lot of time in Muay Thai gyms here in San Francisco and used to frequently run into Jake Shields and Gilbert Melendez down there. But I also wrestled and they were stars at San Francisco State University. So do you have a better chance of picking up MMA skills like Muay Thai, kickboxing as an adult, because she's an adult now, versus which her career path, which is an Olympian, an excellent amateur. And I haven't seen any crossover success with the exception of Heather Holmes, who, like someone also said, she's an elite level.
Holly Holm.
Holly Holmes was also an elite level. Yes, correct. Thank you for correcting me. An elite level kickboxer. So she was doing kind of both at the same time. I don't know if she's going to have much success, but I don't blame her with the status of women's boxing and what they're paying. Right. You know, she definitely, I feel like, from watching her social media presence, that she probably doesn't feel she's getting the credit she deserves right now. So that's why she's going to branch out. all the best to her. Chase that money, chase the money.
And look, I mean, if she's going to do it, she has to do it the right way. But can she do that if she's still also doing boxing? I don't know.
It's very hard. It's very hard to pick up
shape and give your body the recuperation, the rest it needs. But can I add just something? And
of course,
to this is when I was listening to the live you guys were doing with Miss Susie Ramada. Is that what her name was?
Ramadan, yes.
Ramadan. Okay, so there's one thing that is very sad, and it's happening to female sports, and it's the lack of attention. Now, we cannot. Unfortunately, some people might disagree with me, and that's fine. We are all entitled to our own opinion, but we cannot blame the lack of attention from the business side only. Oh, well, they're not paying us much. No, what we need to figure out is how to get the women's interest to buy tickets and go support women, because ultimately, right, the promoter's going to pay based on what he's made. This is an investment that these guys are making. And so, unfortunately, women are not supporting women so much. In my opinion, and I know this is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, right? If male sports was going through what female sports is going, we will be having the same outcome. But why is it that we go to a male boxing card and you see females, males all the time?
Ryan Garcia, Canelo, you're not lying.
Right, but then when we have a very good women boxer, a very good female soccer team, or a very good whatever kind of women, why is it that those same women that spend their money to go see a man fight, why don't they spend it to go support a sister, Al? You know what I'm saying?
It's true. It's a great point. The only sport where this happens, and there's parodies, tennis. That's it. And maybe like track and field in the Olympics, maybe.
Yeah.
But women just do not draw the same audiences in sports as they do as men, and they don't receive the same support.
This has nothing to do with sexism. We're just stating facts here. No,
it doesn't.
Let me add to your point. Look, in like Olympics, women's gymnastics gets bigger ratings than the men's gymnastics.
Volleyball,
okay, by far. Women's gymnastics is probably the highest rated Olympic sport outside of like a star like a Phelps or maybe a Usain Bolt or something like that. Outside of that, the most consistent is female gymnastics. By far, the male gymnastics is not even close. You don't see any like oh well why don't they support the man and all that. While it doesn't excuse the male boxing fan from maybe supporting women's boxing, I'm not saying we don't have some blame with that. I'm not saying that they deserve to have exposure and all that. Don't get me wrong about that. However, yes, there's not enough pressure on women who outnumber men, by the way, to support. Okay,
but they also don't enter the sport at the same rates. Let's be honest.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Men are doing boxing all over the world. You go to Egypt, there's men's boxers. I guarantee you, there are not a lot of women's boxers in Egypt, or if I'm drawing out Egypt, I could substitute that for almost any country.
In my country, we got male boxing. Cuba has male boxing.
Yeah,
they're trying to introduce a female program now. But Cuba, which is
after decades of male boxing,
and in Cuba, women are supported to be athletes too.
Correct.
Even there,
Before that, dog, guys, I want to go to Chief Funky really quick. Hey, Chief Funky, I know we talked about it yesterday, so just really quickly, any thoughts lingering for you on this whole Clarissa Shields thing? Will she fight an MMA fight?
I think she will, man, and I think that ING in the chat made a great point. Is that the records don't really mean as much in MMA as they do in boxing. So, they might throw her a couple of easy fights, to begin with. But as soon as one of the better women fighters say, "Hey, we'll throw her in the ring with me," then she's probably going to get the biggest payday of her career, and she's most likely going to get beat. But even if that happens, it might lead to something bigger in boxing. Maybe if one of the female fighters see her take a loss in MMA, and I'm like, well, maybe I could get her now. And, they might want to jump in the ring with me. Who knows? But I really think it's just about money, and I think she will do something like that, man. I really do.
Right, we got the one, the only Dave Duenas, AK-97 Rough. Leaving the ring boxing. Like, yo, I'm here. I'm here. Look, he's here to support women's boxing. Look at this. He showed up right on time. That's why he's here.
I love boobs.
Charlie.
Hey.
At all. Like, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
hey, I got some rapid fire questions for you, really quick. Will we see Undisputed at 147 by the end of 2022?
No.
Right.
Yeah.
Will Ramirez fight Tater for Undisputed next year?
No.
Oh, wow. Okay. Why?
I'm being told that they like both camps are looking to probably do something big in 2021 to lead up for 2022. I think it just all depends on the money, of whatever fight they're looking at doing next, how well it's going to generate, how well it's going to push and all that, So I think that's what they're trying to do, especially because of what's probably happening, I think, with Crawford. They're trying to stretch everything out.
Okay, all right. Talk to us about this Clarissa Shields thing. Do you think she's serious about it? Is it a publicity stunt?
I like what she's doing, to tell you the truth, man. And I was listening to what you guys were saying, but I don't know if anybody touched on this. The reason why she went and is talking about going on with a smaller promotional group is for leverage. And what I mean by that is like two-time Olympian. She probably went to Dana White, but here's the truth: has she been able to draw in a crowd? Is there an interest yet for the UFC people? Where Holly Hunter, let's not forget, like some guys are mentioning that she's a kickboxer, but even in boxing, she was a runner. She wasn't one to stand and trade. Clarissa Shields is different. She doesn't really run. She actually likes to stand and trade and use her power, her size advantage on her opponents and stuff. So that's why I kind of worked with Holly. It's because of the way she fought, and again, going back with the smaller promoter, like I think what they're trying to do is test the waters to see people will tune in. How much could she generate? Is there going to be an interest of her kind of entering this new world of combat sports? And then I think if they're able to do some really good, decent numbers, I think that's what they're going to go try to present to the UFC and go like, hey, look, instead of trying to give me $1 million or offer me even close to something like that, you should offer me this because I already tested the waters. Yeah. So it's kind of a brilliant move because she does have the guy that used to run HBO. He's her manager, and he's been doing a lot of stuff. And I just don't see him trying to throw all their decks, all their cards on the table immediately. There's a strategy to the boxing business part.
All righty then. Anybody have any lingering thoughts about this before I go to the next one?
I was gonna ask him. I mean, Clarissa Shields is the type of fighter that will stand there and trade. But even as a boxer, although she was the strongest female and everything, I mean, she never showed to have that pop to get the girls out of there. I mean, what does she have? Like 11, 10 fights and only like 2 or 3 knockouts?
I mean, she's not the,
the way girls that she's way bigger than too. Bro.
Exactly. She's always been kind of promoted as a power puncher, like the way Canelo's promoted as a power puncher. Yeah. And we both know they're really not power punchers. Going back with the MMA, and I don't remember who was saying it, but going in with that one Brazilian girl that's a power puncher in the UFC, like, saying that she probably wouldn't be able to take that punch. I think it's like vice versa, because the thing with Holly, what worked with Holly really good is that she's a counter puncher. She knew how to make like Rousey, miss punches, and she was able to counter it. She knocked her out with the Glade kick. But if you watch the boxing skills that she brought to the table, it puzzled a lot of these strikers, And I've worked with a lot of MMA guys, I try to teach them how to use their hands correctly, and it'll work for like the first round. But what do? They always revert to what they know, most, what they've worked on their whole lives and stuff. So I think with Clarissa, I think it will work for her until somebody goes, you know what, fuck the hand game, let's just go to the ground game, and that's where it's going to count, So. I mean, it's apples and oranges. I understand why she's doing it. And I understand why she's going over there, because she's not getting the recognition and the support and love from boxing. So she's going to go somewhere, obviously, that's already kind of opened the doors for women athletes to go that route, But in all truth, like, would a male fighter do that? Would they jump over and cross over? Floyd Mayweather didn't have to do it. He made the other guys come over because the money bag is where the male fighters are at, So that's why I'm not hating on Clarissa. Go where the money's at and try to do what you can. But let's not forget that they're athletes as well. You can't take away what these other people have accomplished. I mean, I would still have, if let's say that Browser chick made a comeback and the fight that was set up for the UFC for them to both showcase, I would still pick, the Rousey chick over Clarissa Shields.
Yeah.
Look, let me give my thoughts on this really quick. Just really quick. Look, I honestly don't think, just like you guys don't believe we'll see Undisputed, and at 147, I don't believe she's going to be fighting in MMA. I just don't. I think look at what it did. They got her on the headlines. The whole MMA world's talking about her. The boxing world's talking about her. Nobody had a reason to talk about Clarissa Shields. Her name is out there, and then that way when she announces a boxing fight, okay, she'll engage in that, and then she'll give them some reason, like, you know what, I have another boxing fight coming, maybe next season, because it's a seasonal league, you know what I mean? And before you know it, it's just not going to happen. That's what I think. I don't think she's going to do it.
And it's a brilliant move, D-Style, if you really think about it. I mean, she's always been her own self-promoter, to tell you the truth, Her mouth has attracted people to tune in to watch her. When she fought that girl on the Hammer, I mean, that was one of the main reasons, is because of her big mouth. I mean, she pisses people off on Twitter. She pisses off media people. She pisses off fans. She's the greatest female fighter of all times. It's her slogan. I mean, she's her self-promoter. So if it is a hoax of what she's going to do, dude, it's brilliant. You know what I mean? I mean, if nobody's pushing your brand, you might as well push it yourself.
Absolutely. Well, Milkar, you have something to say?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's all been said. I mean, she's got no business in MMA, other than potentially making money, which I guess is business. But you guys know what I mean.
Are you 100%? Are you 100%, Milkar? You don't have nothing else to say? Is that 100?
I'm 50-50 on whether she goes into MMA, but I'm 100% that she gets fucked up if she does go into MMA. If it's an MMA fighter.
Besides, you already know that the minute she makes her debut, whoever she's fighting is gonna go straight for them legs to take her down. They're not gonna stand in there and trade with her for 15, 20 seconds, a minute. They going straight for the leg because they know chances are she still doesn't have the takedown defense skills.
Randy,
you know what? That would be
that's what's gonna happen.
MMA, period.
That would be the smart strategy. But you know what I've noticed with these female MMA fighters is that they carry a lot of pride. Like
Ronda, right?
Yeah, Ronda Rousey. Like, why did you want to do a stand-up game with Holly? Like, you should have went immediately for her legs. But you could see that, like, even Cyborg, and when she fought another Brazilian girl, like, they both went at it because there's a pride there. That's why I kind of like the UFC female fighters, because they do come out and they do have a great high performance of entertainment because they decide to trade. So I don't know, man. I think that the first person goes out there, they're gonna want to. I think they want to be I think a lot of UFC fans and athletes want to be a boxer convincingly in a stand-up game, to tell you the truth. So it would be smart for them to go to the legs, but I don't see it happening. Not right away.
Well, we'll see how that goes. I mean, first she has to actually participate in a fight. For those saying she's signed a contract, I mean, what are they going to do? Like, drag her to the ring? They can't stop her from engaging in a boxing fight.
And the thing is,
they could probably stop her from signing another MMA organization, but they're not going to stop her from participating in boxing.
Holly Holm had something that Clarissa Shields doesn't have, and she had a kickboxing background, so it's more difficult to shoot on somebody who could kick you in the fucking face than a boxer who's not going to be able to do that.
Didn't she also have a background in Muay Thai?
I thought you had nothing to say.
I think so.
Yeah, she had a Muay Thai background. She had a Muay Thai background too.
Yes, he did.
It's a good thing you didn't say 100% now. Like, you know what I mean? But
speak now or forever hold your peace, Daddy.
Yeah. All I got to look, a Wrathful Boxing made a good point. Don King would put Christian Martin on the undercard of Tyson, Trinidad, and Chavez, stuff like that. That gave her the exposure. That got her the big paydays for women boxing, at least for those days. But a lot of women today just talk differently. Look, I interviewed Christian Martin. She just talks differently than a lot of the current female fighters. I don't want to give an opinion on whether it's better or worse, but a lot of the current female fighters, they don't talk about opportunity and exposure. They talk about equal pay. Also, they talk about, hold on there, my car. Yeah. They talk about equal pay. They talk about, if you want me, multiple female fighters that I've interviewed now, you bring up the 3-minute round thing. They're like, not if they don't pay me more. You got to pay me more if you want me to fight 3 rounds. You know what I mean? So we're not going to get anywhere if that's the expectation. Go ahead, Amilcar.
Yeah, I was also going to say that, like, Christy Martin was promoted as like the all schmucks, like good old, American girl, very humble and everything. That's like not Clarissa Shields.
Mm-hmm.
No.
and I don't know if she'd even want to be promoted, like as that kind of good old American girl type thing.
She's coming in as the villain, no matter what.
I think people have realized that
Yeah.
being the villain pays off. I mean, look at Floyd Mayweather. People have realized that being the villain pays off. You know, they want the guy or the girl that's constantly barking, that's constantly instigating, that will show up to a press conference and throw a water bottle. Look at the Diaz brothers. You know what I'm saying? The reason that the Diaz brothers can sell out in arenas because they bring that personification with them. You know, the tough guys, the bad guys. You know what I mean? It's a shame, not trying to change the subject. It's a shame that Dana White never put at least Nate at the level that he actually belonged money wise. But I mean, Clarissa Shields knows what he's doing with her mouth, and she's gonna continue doing it because it's worked so far for her. And let's be real, for a woman with the shape that the female boxing is, for women to be making over 150,000, you know, over 200 and close to 300 on a fight, that's pretty good. You know, just keep riding that skateboard because it's taking you places. You know what I mean?
Hey, but I want to take this now, guys. Before I say that, go ahead, Dave.
Who, me?
It looked like you were going to say something, no?
Oh, no. I was listening.
Oh, my bad.
I had my listening ears on.
Okay, I got you. Look, I agree with the market will dictate the pay. Absolutely, it will. It does that for men. I never heard a flyweight say like, "Oh, I gotta make what the heavyweight champion makes." This is bullshit. Like, I put my life on the line, just like the heavyweight champion of the world. Like, you never hear that because they understand. Like, you know, like I'm just saying, like, maybe they put his life on the line. Well, so does Joe Schmo on the undercard making 2,000. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing is given to you in boxing. You know what I mean? It's about what the market dictates and what you can negotiate as well, obviously. So, hey, you know, Clarissa, do your thing. If it works, it works. You know, I'll
hope it works.
to you. But I want to get to like the topic, the main event now, like what everybody's waiting to talk about now. We can make this as quickly as you guys want. It just depends. But Billy Joe Saunders, baby, is going to be fighting Martin Murray. I'm pumped right now. All right. Let's start with Dave. Are you pumped for this fight?
Fuck that puto.
Yeah. He pulled a George Lopez.
You know what I mean? I still expect that money, Eddie Hearn. I still expect that money to be wired to my PayPal at D-Style Boxing, Eddie Hearn. Okay? I did my best. All right?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I think about the guy. Honestly, I don't care if the guy fights. I just want to see his ass get kicked. I think he needs his ass handed to him.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
But it's not gonna happen. Nah, not with Murray, unfortunately. But again, I'll say it again. Fuck that puto.
And half of the chat's gone. Everybody left. 408.
A lot of Gypsy fans.
Hey, 408, talk to me, man. I know you're pumped about that. You were telling me offline how pumped you are. This is gonna be
I'm pumped for all fights still, man. I'm still faith. I have a lot of faith in the sport of boxing. I'm pumped for all of them. Even Ring City USA. Shout out to those guys who are doing a fight tonight. But yeah, Billy Joe Saunders. There's a lot on the line because he still has an opportunity to fight Canelo Alvarez down the line, and a lot of these 168 fighters, like we saw Daniel Jacobs last week, that was a total disappointment over at the Zone. Total disappointment. So does he want to be in the mix with Caleb Plant and David Benavidez? Does he want to be a top 168-pound fighter and get a shot at Canelo, or does he just want to fight has-beens like Martin Murray, who fought Triple G how many years ago or whatnot? I don't see this going well for Martin Murray. This is probably a retirement fight, but again, it all depends on what Billy Joe Saunders wants to do this weekend. Where does he want to put himself in the mix?
Absolutely. I see there's a movement this movement of Teofimo Lopez is growing, and dudes are creating accounts from, hey, more power to you, man. But, he said, hit the like if you think it's undisputed. I ain't gonna say no. You know what I mean? If you want to hit the like, hit the like.
All credit to G-Funk. All credit to G-Funk there. He started that movement.
Yeah. Hey, man, you already know when you mentioned that name.
Is that your second account now, G-Funky?
No.
But let's go to Joe Habib. Billy Joe Saunders Murray, man, how do you see this fight, and are you even interested in it?
Really not interested in this fight. Billy Joe Saunders, I don't know what to say about the guy. He's just hasn't really had that big fight yet, and it just seems like he doesn't have any sense of urgency to try to get that big fight. There's been offers on the table. I guess he turned down the Canelo fight, turned down the Golovkin fight, but he always blames the other side. So it can't always be the other side's fault. If he had offers for both, Canelo and Golovkin, and he found a reason to not fight either guy, then at some point you got to do some self-reflection. So, and plus the guy's just not a likable guy anyways. He's did some pretty shitty things in his.
That's where it's at.
You want to fight Golovkin? I mean, Golovkin would beat me and you in the same night. Like who says that?
Who says that? That would be like me. That would be like me going on a job interview and being like, "Yeah, you know what? You should still hire me, but I suck at this job. I'm not going to be good at it. I'm not really going to be good at it. But you know what? Why don't you hire me anyways, just so you can fill up the payroll?"
Hire the dude he just interviewed. He would do twice the work I do any night of the week. Like, okay.
That was the most bizarre press conference I've ever seen.
Yeah.
When he was sitting there talking to who was he there with? Chris Eubank Jr. or something? And he said that Golovkin will beat both of us
on the same night.
What up, Black and Brown Boxing?
Yeah, shout out to Black and Brown Boxing in the chat. Taco Bernstein, Wrathful Boxing, Randall Traverse showing that Teofimo Lopez love. It's all good. You guys, you love whoever you want to love out here. You know what I mean? Dave loves boobies. You know, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Milcar, I know you're pumped about this one. You know what I mean? Fight of the year candidate.
Come on, show some energy, bro.
Oh man! I mean, it's so tough. I mean, when I think of Martin Murray,
come on, guys.
When I think of Martin Murray, I think of a guy who couldn't travel to the United States in his prime because he had a criminal record in the UK, and then had to take a fight in Argentina against Sergio Martinez and got robbed.
Yeah.
Maravilla.
I mean, that's what I think of when I think of Martin Murray. I mean, neither of these guys are 168 pounders. Let's be honest. They're both middleweights.
Facts.
Martin Murray's best years are far past him. And Billy Joe Saunders should be really at this point in his career pushing himself against guys much higher level than Martin Murray. And for a number of reasons, he's just not doing it. And I mentioned this before the show started, but I'm actually more excited about the Anthony Yarde-Lyndon Arthur fight than I am about this fight in terms of fights taking place in the UK. I mean, let's be real. Like, Saunders should handle Murray. He's a very, he's a textbook fighter. Doesn't really do anything special, and he's out of his weight class, and he's way past his prime. So, yeah, Lyndon Arthur, Anthony Yarde is the UK fight I'm looking forward to this weekend.
To do a quick thought about that fight really quick.
Yeah, I mean, Lyndon Arthur is a good boxer puncher out of Manchester. We all know about Yarde, who stepped up a bit too early to take on Kovalev, and his big mouth, loud mouth trainer Tunde. We've got a quick, twitchy, hard hitting guy against a athletic guy against a tall boxer puncher with a good jab and really a decent power in Arthur. And it's kind of a good step up fight. It's the kind of fight we would have seen on like a Boxing After Dark 10 years ago here in the United States. And it's good. It's two prospects taking each other on to kind of hopefully in their eyes get a shot at a championship.
I agree with that statement. By the way, wild card. So Andre is a U.S. version of Billy Joe Saunders. You know what I mean? But we gotta have our own. You know what I mean? It's the way it is. Raw Boxing TV. I know you're the optimistic one, right? You're pumped for this one.
What the hell ever, dude. I mean, the truth of the matter is, so have you ever been, have your AC ever gone out and you're sleeping and you're sticky and there's that mosquito that every time you want to kill it, you swipe, but you keep missing and you want to get rid of him, but that little sucker keeps bothering you? To me, that's Billy Joe Saunders. Okay. I don't want to sound like
open the window.
I don't want to sound like the guy has been given the position he's in today. He's obviously fought. He's obviously been able to outbox a lot of these fighters. But so for some reason, he's not appetizing to me. And I know I just said maybe 10 minutes ago that being the villain pays off. But in this case, he can talk and he can position himself as a villain, and he's still not appetizing to me. Now, the simple fact that I love the sport of boxing, that's the only reason that will push me to just sit and watch his fight. You know, I mean, let's be honest. Brother Milcar was talking about boxing after dark, which reminded me of the good old days. I used to watch. How many of you remember Boxeo Azteca?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like some fighters will come out through there and Boxeo Azteca that remind me of a Billy Joe.
This is like a Friday night fight at Boxeo.
Yeah, that's where he belongs. That's where I would put him. To me, Billy Joe Sanders belongs in Boxeo Azteca. You know, like but not in there with Canelo. I mean, if the fight happens, great. You know, maybe Canelo can do us the favor of erasing this guy from the top list, but. The only prop I give him is the fact that he gets in there. He knows how to get the job done from time to time. I just think he needs to be advised in the things that he says, in the way that he acts, because it should be apparent to him and his team by now that what he's doing outside the ring with his mouth is not bringing the bills. You know?
Yeah, detrimental to his career. And I think he's better than like a Liam Beefy Smith, but
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, he's not doing himself any favors in terms of getting the Canelo fight.
Right.
I mean, look. Let's be real. Floyd Mayweather spoke a lot of crap, but what was the difference? That Floyd Mayweather will give an interview. I guarantee you, Floyd Mayweather will give an interview and put it on pay-per-view, and people will buy just to see the interview. See, Floyd had that thing that brought people in, whether it was hate, love, curiosity. He just had what he took, right?
You're saying Billy didn't have that? No.
Oh, my dude. That's the guy.
There's a difference. There's a difference between a villain and a piece of shit, though. And Billy J. Saunders is a piece of shit, bro.
I was about to say that.
He doesn't talk a lot of shit. He does a lot of stuff that's actually not okay. Like telling people on social media how to hit your wife to shut her up if she talks too much.
Yes.
Okay, paying some guy, some crack addict to fucking attack this bystander. I mean, that's piece of shit moves. I mean, I love villains. You know what I mean? I love villains like the Joker, shit like that. This guy, he's a piece of shit.
Floyd did his dirt outside the ring too, though.
Yeah, he never put it on there. You know what I mean? This is just a difference.
Go ahead,
Wow.
Rob. You didn't know about that, Rob? About the
man, because like I told you, I was away for 7 years and I was just focused on the amateur side of the sport, working with my brother-in-law, which by the way, I'm gonna be having him in the show. This kid is going places. So
all right.
Yeah, man.
Well, we'll definitely be on the lookout for that. Hey, Chief Funky, look, man, I need somebody. They're going to wire me a lot of money for somebody to pump this fight up. Are you pumped?
No, man.
Yeah,
absolutely
I know
not.
you're not pumped. But
Absolutely
who's going to win? You think Murray has a shot? You don't think Murray can pull the upset? Something like that?
Yeah, he got a shot in his ass. That's about it. This guy is through, man. This is an easy win for Billy Joe, and I agree with everything Dave said. He does a lot of stupid things outside of the ring to make people hate him, and it's not like in a way like a Mayweather or anybody else would do to try to promote themselves. This guy just does things that are just too far. He just goes too far with things, and not only that, now he's starting to go too far with in promoting himself in boxing because, he had an opportunity to fight Canelo. We talked about that earlier in the year, just right when the pandemic started. There was an announcement that he could have fought him in May. They even brought him back up for September for Canelo. Both times he made excuses. Then he goes on to say things like, well, I'm so confident I'll beat Canelo that they don't got to pay me unless I win, and this guy is just ridiculous, man. But the funny thing is, just looking at him, just his style, he could give some guys some problems. He's a southpaw, likes to move around. He's got, decent hand speed, but you know, he just does too many things to make people. He just rubs too many people the wrong way, and But yeah, this is a dumpster juice right here. This fight,
Dumpster juice, yeah.
and I'm not with it, man. You know, I think I'd rather look at Dave's T-shirt than watch this fight.
There's a dumpster truck. Did you hear that?
There it is.
All right, I smell that shit a mile away. You know what is cool though? I mean, my God, I mean, like they put out a pretty good poster for it though. If you don't watch boxing and you look at that poster, like, man, this is a pretty legit fight. You know what I mean? This is what you'll think. But I hate this fight. How about we move on?
If this fight stinks up the joint, that'll be what, 3 fights, main events for DAZN in a row that have stunk up.
Right.
Yo, I don't understand how DAZN, having the money that they had, because I know they don't have it anymore, how do they just go and put up all this nonsense in boxing and find themselves in the position they're in today? You know, it's like you would think.
Well,
they
what
would
the
have managed it.
I can tell you why.
The question is, do they want to invest more money? You know what I mean? But go ahead, Amilcar.
I mean, they really fucked up.
Yeah.
Number one, they went with De La Hoya as their U.S. promoter. And then number two, they decided to do business with a guy who's all his fighters were in the UK. Yeah. And expected him to turn things around in the U.S. market for them and create a big splash. This is not smart business.
Yes, I agree with that. You know what I mean? But we'll see what happens with that, man. Look, I want to go to one more topic here.
Snoop Dogg's going to save it, though, man. You heard that, right? He's going to save boxing. Snoop Dogg's saving boxing.
Oh, man. You took the words right out of my mouth, Dave. Snoop Dogg.
Check this out. I'm going to go to first to you, Beeb. Mike Tyson, Roy Jones, whether people like it or not, 1.2 million buys, you know?
Yes, son.
Mike Tyson, once in 2020, has the most buys of any, not the highest grossing, by the way, just most buys for a pay-per-view fight. What are your thoughts on that, Beeb? Are you shocked, surprised, and do you think it's good or bad?
I said it would do 1 million. It overexceeded my expectations slightly. But I've always said this. Mike Tyson is still the most popular boxer on the planet right now.
Facts.
He's still the most popular. Mike Tyson, in my opinion, and this can be argued, he's the second most popular fighter of all time behind Muhammad Ali.
Yep.
In my opinion.
I agree with that.
No, you're on point
since Ali died.
And you
athlete as well.
Let Beeb finish his point, guys. But go ahead, Beeb.
And you know what's ironic about the whole thing? You know what's ironic about the whole thing? When he was fighting, he wasn't doing all these things for charity. He wasn't giving back. Now, in his second reincarnation of himself, he's actually giving back now. He's helping people. Supposedly, he's donating the purse to charity. He's a lot more mellow now. He's just more cordial with everybody. So he's actually turning into what Muhammad Ali was outside the ring now, as opposed to how he was before. And he used to always say, hey, you know what? If I could never box, no one would care about me. No one would like me, blah, 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 blah. But when he did that show, took that show on the road, people loved it. People loved it. When he does that hot boxing, a lot of support, lot of support with that, a lot of viewership, a lot of people following that. He gets invited on a lot of talk shows. So he's still an icon. He's still an icon. And it's kind of embarrassing when you look at the other fighters out there like Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury and even Anthony Joshua. They're not as popular as this guy. And this is just a testament that proves that and solidifies that. So yeah, I'm not surprised at all. And here's another thing too. I thought that the event was great, and I like the way Mike Tyson pulled it off. Mike Tyson, to me, did just enough to make the fight exciting. But you could tell he was kind of carrying Roy a little bit. He wasn't really punching him to the head. No. He was going to the body mostly. But he still did it in a way where he made the fight entertaining. And I commend him for that. He put on a great show. Both of them did.
Back with broken. Final.
Right. Well, let's do this. Dave, go ahead and give me your thoughts, man. I mean, is this surprising to you that it did 1.2? And do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing for boxing?
Which Dave?
Oh, 97 Rough. Go ahead.
No, I'm not surprised. you know, like what B was saying, the most recognizable boxer athlete in the world. You know, people came out. You know what though? I watched it on crack stream, so you know the numbers would have been higher if us people that didn't want to watch it, but unless we got it for free, watched it. So you know those numbers are probably would have spiked up a lot more. So I wonder how many honestly around the world really watched the fight. You know, it's more than 1.2. So it says a lot about Iron Mike. You know, and now that Holyfield is saying sign a contract. You know, that's going to do some huge numbers regardless of these two guys being, I mean, Holy's what, 58 or 59 years old, you know, and even though Mike impressed me a bit, you know, the head movement, didn't follow through with his punches because I knew that you could see he was holding back, not punching through his opponent, you know, just punching with them. So, yeah, I mean, overall, like I've said before, it doesn't hurt the sport and it doesn't do anything else. It just lets people – and I said this on that solo podcast that I do on Locker Room. I said it's actually what it does is give casual fans that, like my kids, I would talk about Mike Tyson. The only times they'll ever get to see him at the time was on YouTube. Never got to see him live. It gave the opportunities for these casual fans that are just starting up in boxing to get a glimpse of a legendary fighter. And then they actually had a little bit of a glimpse of how he kind of looked at 51. He wasn't that bad. So, yeah.
All right. And the other Dave, to Tocayo, 408. Well, what are your thoughts on this, man? Good or bad for boxing? 1.2 million. Are you surprised?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised because I was on this very roundtable. It exceeded my expectations. I was kind of a downer on it when we talked about it prior. So it definitely exceeded my expectations. But then at the end, I wasn't surprised because it is Mike Tyson and his legacy speaks for himself, especially after leaving the sport of boxing, how he has this redemption story. He's branched out into all other entertainment, movies, The Hangover, the podcast, the marijuana business. But it made me reflect on who was the real winner in the sport of boxing this weekend. And it was a tough call. Was it Snoop Dogg?
Or Nate Robinson?
Or was it weed? Or is it weed? Because I was quite surprised to hear Mike Tyson say he smokes weed right before that fight. So who's the real winner here? Either one is good, right? So
trying to promote that ranch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it definitely exceeded my expectations. And maybe I'm just not on the pulse of what's happening, you know, because I talked to somebody else that said, hey, maybe you weren't paying attention to the promotion because you're just not looking for it. But they definitely obviously did a good job promoting that on different various new social media things and whatnot, like Thriller for one of them to talk about. But yeah, fun night. It was a fun night. Even though I didn't pay for it legally, it was definitely an entertaining night.
I think I'm the only one that paid for it.
Yeah,
Hey, $50. Let's mention
Did you
that.
walk away feeling good, Joe? Did you walk away feeling good, though?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, I talked to a few people that bought it. Like, I had friends actually call me after, and they bitched about it. And I was like, really? Like, fuck, you didn't know what you were buying? First off, like, you didn't know what you were buying and shit, you know? I have
to be honest with you, Dave. I think it over exceeded my expectations.
You know what I mean?
Finish your point, Dave. I'm gonna go to the next person. But finish your point.
I'm gonna agree with 408 Dave though. Like my expectations was kind of low, so I went in there watching it and going like, "Hey, it's not that bad." You know what I mean? It was kind of entertaining for a Saturday night, so I wasn't disappointed because I kind of knew what we were gonna get. You know what I mean?
All right, Milcar. Did this surprise you, and do you think this is good or bad for the sport that this fight did 1.2 million, or if not more?
I actually wasn't surprised by the number, and we talked about this on Hispanics Causing Panic, but I felt that the price point was really good. I mean, it's economies of scale, right? It's the idea that you increase production with the hope of, you know, increasing sales, and that's what they did. I mean, I don't think it would have done 1.2 million if they were charging what we're going to have to pay for Errol Spence Jr. against Danny Garcia. Personally, you know, I feel that if boxing decided to lower the cost of these pay-per-views a little bit, more people would probably order the pay-per-views and not do what most of us did on Saturday. Was it good for boxing? I don't know if anybody watches that fight and wants to watch more boxing if they're not already a boxing fan.
True.
I mean, there was obviously the popularity of Mike Tyson, whose fame goes far beyond I think, anyways, his skill set and accomplishments in the ring, even when he was in his prime. Personally, I feel that Mike Tyson's probably one of the most overrated fighters of all time. I mean, that's not even a hot take. I'm just literally, you look up and down his career and you ask who he actually beat when they were in his prime, and it's a very small list. But
I agree.
It was undisputed, though.
Yeah, but I mean,
that era,
he was undisputed in a period where like the golden era of the heavyweights had just ended, and it was before like the Lennox Lewis era. And you know, every time he stepped up, he pretty much lost. And you know, beginning with the Buster Douglas fight, and we talked about it the other day on your show. I mean, he quit against Evander Holyfield the second time.
All right.
Anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have anything against the guy. He's a very entertaining person. He's a character. And another reason that probably drove sales was the Jake Paul Nate Robinson fight. I mean, look at the traffic that generated on social media. Mm-hmm. You know, there's people who never talk to me about boxing ever, who are sending me memes of, you know,
NBA, never box again.
Yeah, you know, Nate Robinson, you know, on an orthopedic bed or the posturepedic or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah, I mean, that was part of the demographic that bought this card as well. So I don't really see it telling us much about the success of boxing pay-per-views, other than if they lower the cost a little bit, they'll probably get more viewers.
Absolutely. Hey, by the way, guys, make sure you jab my like. Let's get a 50 likes by the end of this video right here, okay? Let's do that. Just press the like button. If you're watching on your phone, just press that little X on the corner. It'll bring down the chat, and you'll see that little like button. Go ahead and press it, and then you can bring the chat back up. Just a little tip out there, okay? Hey, Raw Boxing, 1.2 million for Mike Tyson. Good or bad for boxing?
Like 408 said, it also exceeded my expectation. Now, listen, I'm not hating on the Legends Only League. I think if he gets going, I think it's interesting just so that I can sit down with my kids and they can see what a legendary boxer looks like inside the ring. You know, like I was telling you guys yesterday, you know, I'm rooting for the Legends Only League, and if he keeps going, I would love to see De La Hoya Trinidad there to be the next fight. I also think they need to space it out. It cannot be a continuous or a very frequent thing to happen, especially if it's going to be costing what it's costing, regardless of whatever the shape the economy might be whenever it's taking place. Why? Because you also don't want to have shine being taken away from boxers that are coming up, right? You don't want it to be in the way for an upcoming fight or nothing like that. Not only did Mike Tyson exceed my expectation in the way that he fought, I didn't expect him to make it to 8 rounds, but he made it to 8 rounds. I can tell you this, as a boxing fan, when I saw the highlight, because I didn't watch the entire fight, I watched about 75% of the fight online and stuff while I was at work, actually. But when when the bell rang in the first punches, I felt something. I don't know if it's just because I love boxing, because I used to watch Mike. I just felt something, right? Milcar said that Mike Tyson is one of the most overrated fighter, and he might be. But what attracted people to Mike Tyson went beyond the level of competition he was fighting. I think what attracted people to Mike Tyson was his story, the way he was coming up, the knockouts he was giving us, and then of course the negative parts of his life, the legendary ear biting. You know, hey man, if Mike Tyson gets in there with Holyfield, I'll be watching. I don't think that it necessarily does good or bad to actual active boxing, but I do think that it's an avenue by which we can show our kids today. Listen, this guy fighting, he used to be the creme de la crop, or whatever, or wherever you want to place it. But definitely, YTBC, Y'all need to push Trinidad De La Hoya Legends only. Let's make it happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, they're gonna like. I don't know. Do they have Vaseline for arthritis? You know that they put on fighters. You know during the fight. You know what I mean?
Icy hot, bro. Icy hot.
Yeah, like yeah. Hey, but Chief Funky, what are your thoughts on this, man? 1.2 million, good or bad for boxing? And are you surprised at the numbers?
No, I'm not surprised. I said it on Uncensored last week that it would do at least $1 million, if not more.
But
Whoa. Can you guys hear me?
yes, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not surprised that it did the numbers that it did. Is it good? I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I guess it's good that people that many watch boxing on a Saturday night, but it really does show how piss poor these promoters have been. That these active guys, they can't get their active fighters to generate this kind of interest. You know, that's really all I could say about it. You know, the fight kind of went as I expected, I guess. You know, for two 50-year-old guys. But as Raw Boxing said, I would love to see De La Hoya Trinidad, or if Holyfield Tyson again. You know, I'm taking Holyfield, man. I don't think Tyson could beat him, man. I would roll with Holyfield in that one, but. Yeah, I'm not surprised it did what it did, man.
Hey, guys are listening to the December 3rd round table. All right, this is the 7th edition. Next week, we'll be back on Thursday. Just an FYI. Okay, I want to thank everybody that joined. Let me say this. I think a couple of points. While it did the most buys, it didn't do the most revenue, right? I would be interested to see, like, if there was no COVID, how it would, like, how much money would people be willing to pay in an arena? Like, I don't think it would beat Fury versus Wilder in an arena. That fight broke the heavyweight gate record. You know what I mean? Another thing to keep in mind, Tyson Holyfield did 1.5 million in the heyday, right? For a very similar price. Now, obviously, you got to factor in inflation. $50 then is like around 80, 90 now. So like, I understand all that. So we got to put that in perspective. Someone's put in the chat, very good point. You know, if you keep doing these type of fights, they lose their novelty. They lose the uniqueness about them. You know, so there could be an oversaturation. At some point, people are going to get tired of the YouTube fight. At some point, they're not going to be unique anymore. So I do think that they do have a certain lifespan, or they have to spread them out a little bit. But with Triller getting involved, the Zone will probably start getting, you know, involved with it. Other cards are putting YouTubers on it. At some point, people are going to get tired of it. And not to mention, at some point, Jake Paul really is going to believe, if he doesn't already, that he could hang in there with a real professional, and he's going to not spark out. Okay,
Throw
what's
him
going
in
to
there.
happen? He's going to get hurt, no doubt about. I agree, no doubt about that. Another thing, I think they should look at the price, and I think promoters, hey, PBC, Showtime, take note. Look at the price, $50. More people bought it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, can you bring the price down? Espinosa, can you stop saying, oh, it's going to be a fair price, and then charge $75 for a Charlo pay-per-view? $75 for a Tank pay-per-view? $75 for a Spence pay-per-view? Can you knock it down a couple, $20? Can you knock it down? Like the $20 Eddie Hearn wired me to pump up Murray versus Billy Joe Saunders, something like that. Right? No, but what's some of my thoughts? Anybody else have any further thoughts here?
I bought all those fights.
Now he wonders why Ernie blocked him.
Yeah, D-style. I'd be remiss if I don't bring up Chavez Jr. this week, but I had a vision that Chavez Jr. chases a Jake Paul fight.
Somebody mute this guy's mic.
No, he chases the Jake Paul fight. At some point, a YouTuber is going to ask for a fight against a real boxer.
Let him in there.
This is how stupid people are, okay? Like, I remember, like, there was a year where, like, the Browns were bad. And they were, like, a horrible football team, right? Right? No. This is like really bad. They were like 0-16, right? And you had individuals that really believed that Alabama could beat the Browns. You know what I mean? No, they can't beat the Browns.
About the Jets here in New York.
Yeah, the best college team cannot beat the worst NFL. It's not even close. No. Okay, it's not even competitive at all, right? Jake Paul, it's a professional fighter, a seasoned fighter, is even a worse mismatch than that. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, people are gonna think, that guy's coming off a loss. Jake won 4 straight. He's gonna win.
Can I just add though on the Chavez Jr. case?
Sure.
What an embarrassment for that name, man.
Yes.
I mean, listen. We have seen.
Man, you barely got there.
We have seen the sons of legend coming into the sport and not making it. Okay, we've seen it with Camacho Jr. We've seen it with the hijo of Maromero Paez. We've seen all those guys, but there's something about Chavez Jr. that makes you want to go, dude, just retire, disappear from the public lens, allow your father's legacy to remain unblemished. You see what I'm saying? Today you mentioned Chavez Jr. and all you can do is cringe. You immediately see Chavez Senior sitting in the chair like, who's su madre, way? You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things that's like, then you want to win this fight against a nobody, and you want to celebrate with the El Chapo shirt on, with some blonde hair or whatever. I mean, dude, to me, he's an embarrassment for that legendary name. You see what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm being too emotional, but that dude needs to just
go away.
And besides, he's not going to be able to fight in the U.S. until he's able to give Vada and USADA an explanation for why he wasn't able to be tested.
He's going to knock out Jake Paul, and then he's going to be like, "See, I'm back. Yo le dije que voy a ganar." Like, come on, bro. Get the fuck out of here. I don't know about that. I don't know what happened to Milker. I see him in the back, but I can't click on his name, so I'm not sure what happened there. But hey, guys, we're at the 2 hours here. I do got to kind of, end this stream here pretty soon, but I just want to kind of go around just really quick. If you go a little too long, I might have to cut you off a little bit. But Dave, give us some final thoughts really quick, bro.
Which one?
Anything, whatever you want to say.
No, I said which Dave. There's 2 Daves here.
Oh, Dave Duenes, 97 rough. It's your fault a little bit. Like, you showed up late. You know what I mean?
I know, man. My bad.
But hey, just go ahead. You love boobies, whatever you want to say.
No, great conversation and stuff. I'm watching the Ring City fights right now. Actually, the second fight's really good. So if you guys haven't had a chance to tune in, check that out. Check it out right now. Some pretty good fights there. And I'm hoping that they're going to do well, because boxing definitely needs more to be televised, and especially some good fight cards where the guys are being matched correctly. I think that this series should work, to tell you the truth. But my only concern about it is that not going to be enough eyes watching it the way people turned up for the Mike Tyson and Roy Jones ordeal and stuff. But Clarissa Shields, let's see what she does next. Again, everybody, I had a great time, man. I'm sorry that I'm late, but I got home late, and you know how it is.
I was just joking about the late part. The other Dave, El Tocayo, 408. Talk to
us. My goodness. My wife she's a big fan of Joe. My wife is a big fan of Joe, and she passed me a note if he could see this. She loved it. If he could wrap up the show at one of his famous and if he could add Chris Mannix to that'd be my.
Oh my God! Put up on the screen again.
She's a big fan. She handed me this note. Can Joe end the show today with one of these? That is not my writing.
Most definitely.
And feel free to implement Chris Mannix. That's my choice.
Oh, he was horrible.
Horrible.
Sergio Mora too. Every left hook is a check hook.
It was crazy. They were arguing with each other like on camera towards the end. It was. I don't think I've ever heard anything like that since like Foreman and Merchant.
Yeah, Mora literally said, okay. Oh, look, he landed a hook. You see, that's like he put him on check. That's a check hook. Like that's not what makes something a check hook. Okay. but anyway, Steve, give us some final thoughts. Everyone's gonna get their final thoughts, guys. But go ahead.
Spence Garcia. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see what Spence ends up bringing to the ring on Saturday night.
Absolutely.
I don't know. There's something seems a little bit off about Spence, but maybe it's just me. I don't know. But
he was in a car crash, something like that.
No. Well, again, of course that, but the way he's he just seems a little bit spacey. Like he looks a little bit kind of like almost like he looks like he's high, almost like he's on like friggin'.
He's always looked like that though.
He's like, he looks like he's on downers, like when they're interviewing him now.
Sleepy Spence.
I know what Beeb is talking about. Like
I've never seen him like this like down. You know what I mean? It's almost like he's on Quaaludes. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But Garcia is definitely live. But I'm gonna roll with Spence. And for Dave 408's wife, fuck you, Teddy Atlas. Fuck you, Chris Mannix. And fuck you, Sergio Mora.
And was that a check hook?
Yeah, fuck the check hook too.
Milcar, give us some final thoughts, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier that with the cost of these pay-per-views, I mean, for years we heard from the promoters that it was the fault of like the cable and satellite companies, but now I can go into the Fox Sports app and buy the pay-per-view, and they charge the same price.
Yeah.
So
more.
I mean, I'm gonna pay it because wifey's family's coming over to watch it, and it's not like I'm gonna go to a stream and have it buffering all the time. So I'm not happy about the $85 price tag, though. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Is it 85?
That's usually what it is because they make you pay for like the HD fees and everything else. But yeah, like you, I got Spence.
All right, G Funky, give us some final thoughts.
Yeah, man, looking forward to Spence Garcia this weekend. Really anxious to see what kind of Earl Spence we get. I'm expecting the best because he says he's 100%, but we will see. I think it's going to be a good fight. Thank everyone in the chat who was here. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to everybody here. Everybody here got a YouTube channel. Make sure you guys subscribe, and let's keep this thing rolling, man. HCP, leave it in the ring. Let's go, baby.
That's right. Make sure you guys throw a jab in my like. We're almost there, man. Come on, hit the like button so we get a 50 raw boxing. Give us some final thoughts.
Spence Jr. this weekend. I'm looking for Spence Jr. to outbox Danny Garcia. Also, my final thoughts on this show. I want to thank you guys again for having me. And listen, if we have 34 people watching right now, but only 21 likes, that ain't right. Let's make it 34 likes. Come on, hit that thumbs up.
Yeah, that's right, man. Hey,
right.
I want to thank everybody who tuned in. All right, this is D-Style Boxing. Till next week, keep it boxing. We're out.
I'm out.
Peace.